And welcome back to Survivor Hot Takes. It is me, Coach Drew, joined as always by Emily, who is, much like myself, in mourning
We're
at the loss
depressed.
of my second all-time greatest Survivor crush. She didn't break the glass ceiling.
Not yet, anyway.
She'll probably just plateau it too. Uh, and joined by Jacob. Jacob, we had on our season 41 episode. I don't remember.
The Shan boot, and then I
It was
think the second or
Shan
third
boot
episode.
Okay, yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it was. Jacob, how have you been? And what is your hot take of the season so far?
I've been excellent, superb, stupendous. It's always fun to get on here and get my hot takes out. The folder, I'm just a good player, not a great player, a good one, because I folded. I didn't reign supreme tonight. But my hot take, most of the best winners, almost all of the best winners are in the dark age of Survivor.
Ooh.
Meaning that span from like these seasons with like the Redemption Island twist, following Heroes versus Villains, right before right before Blood versus Water, Cambodia, Kick, Kagian. Almost all the best winners are from that era.
That actually is the best hot take ever.
26.
Yeah, if I did a top 10, almost all of them would be in that stretch.
I have to ask you a question because this is something that Andrew and I are so heavily divided on. Like we almost didn't talk for 10 years because it's so important. That's an exaggeration.
We've known each other for 10+ years.
Okay, what are your thoughts on Redemption Island? Do you love it or do you hate it?
I only love it with Blood versus Water.
Oh, okay.
I love the dynamics of like you seeing your blood being sent to Redemption Island, the tension of you getting to choose to take over. Like Rupert taking place over for Laura, that hit me in the feels.
Tearjerker, right?
Hayden talking to Kat, like who's gonna win this game? That gave me chills. Like when I first saw that gave me chills. But like
they ended up breaking up, right?
Yeah. But in the moment,
she deserved better.
Okay, so Jacob, that's your actual Survivor hot take. What about for season 42?
My hot take for 42.
Yes.
A hot take. Oh gosh. I think Tori is making the finale. Not just the finale. I think she's making the FTC.
Ooh.
But yeah, probably.
I think so. I think I thought she was going to be the first juror or the final or the losing unanimous finalist. That's sort of the trajectory I'm at right now. Which technically she could be the first juror now because it's episode tomorrow. But I think she's going to be the losing finalist.
So you don't think that this core alliance, like the one with like all the different advantages and all the different strengths, that they're going to stay strong and just wipe out the three who are under the radar right now?
I feel like I mean, they're kind of already not necessarily decimated because we haven't seen actual physical cracks, but I think a lot of the people in that group want to be the pilot. And we were talking about passengers and whatever the hell,
Right.
No, but I see the game as like a plane right now, and it's very leaning heavily in favor with the people with all the advantages and the people aligned closely with them. And so knowing that Omer, without even a vote, was able to get everything together to save all of his allies, his core four, his Taku tribe, and then Lydia ends up getting sent home because of it, and Hai and Mike apparently like begrudgingly or reluctantly going along with this plan. I feel like there's a lot of egos in that alliance, and I feel like it's bound for that. I would love for all the power players to make it to the end and battle it out. That means my boy Mike is at the end, and we take those victories. But I don't see Hai, Omer, I don't see them coexisting. I don't think that they can. I think that they sort of recognize like that's the smart guy on that tribe and that's the smart guy on this tribe. So
very true. Yeah.
And so if we rewind to the beginning of the episode, I'm messing. As we rewind to the beginning of the episode, we all everyone knows that this is going to be the episode that they do the hourglass twist. And as for the people that listened to our last episode and to the people that listened to us on Gia's podcast last week, we were very vocal about the fact that we were hoping that they would do it right this time and just have the twist happen during the first hour. Don't do some type of weird next time on Survivor, will this person break the hourglass? Instead, in the first hour like that, do the second hour, we find out what Rocksroy does, the same thing that literally everyone would do in the situation, and then go from there. And I think what made this episode even better was the fact that we got a lot of time watching people not only strategize, but socialize. merge episodes are a lot of strategy, usually. This time there was a lot of like just watching people interact socially. We got the moment with Jonathan and Mike, and we got to watch our three amulet people see each other again. We
And
got
Romeo.
time with Roxroy by himself.
Romeo.
Yes. We got to see Romeo and High together. And so we got that, and then we also got the strategy, and we got enough strategy that we didn't go. It wasn't like Game Changers where we went to tribal with no idea what the hell was going on. We had a good idea that the votes were going to be kind of all over the place, but that Lydia and either Jonathan or
Lindsay.
Marianne might be getting
Jonathan. Yeah, I thought Lindsay was in contention, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Lindsay was.
We're going to get the brunt of the votes. And I really like this episode just overall. It's probably first or second favorite episode of the season up to this point.
Definitely.
But Emily, thoughts on the episode all around, and we will touch on specific things. But
I think it was brilliant. I think that I really want to hand it to Survivor editors, especially this season in particular. Their storytelling ability is immaculate. My only critique is still at this point, like they've made a case for literally every person now at this point, minus Lindsay. And I feel like if you were able to do that with pretty much everyone and not give Lindsay enough screen time or we don't know anything about her backstory, anything like that. So that's my only critique because I really like Lindsay. I just would have liked to see more of her at this point. I love seeing how each tribe interwove. And I think that it's also super cool because normally I'm not the type of person who's like, oh yeah, like it's so great watching the bigger party demolish the smaller party into bits, right? But the way that this was kind of in a way where like producers didn't expect, viewers didn't expect. We thought it was going to be a big blood battle, war of the worlds, but in reality, like it became like the bigger group with all of the power consuming the people without the power. And because of how well it's edited and because of those great storylines, I was eating that shit up. I said, let's go. I was involved. So I'm really excited to kind of see how this continues to evolve,
Jacob, thoughts?
Jacob, why are you laughing at me?
No, because not you. Seb in the background's nodding like he's hearing what you guys are saying. He's like,
he's feeling me. He agrees.
He's feeling you. He feels the intensity from my phone.
Thank you. I have a lot of feelings.
She said thank you. But as far as my thoughts on this season altogether, this to me is easily the best episode of the season thus far for me, and it's really not even close. Like I just felt so invested in. Like you said, like Lindsay being the only omission from all of that. I feel like we've had the opportunity to sort of become attached to a lot of these. Like we could find ourselves in these people, and what Survivor was able to do in these past 2 hours to just give us not like a synopsis, but I feel like they're really trying to encompass who these people are as players, and they were able to do that so eloquently in these past 2 hours. Seeing Omar as this very not necessarily domineering, but someone who wants to emerge as that owl coming out in the night, and Jonathan being much more to being the buff guy than he actually is, and same thing with Mike. He's a bit more of a softie than his exterior shows. High wanting to show agency. Lydia following and supporting and encouraging him along the way. Marianne's over the top. Tori being Tori. Small stuff like that. We get everything. I feel like other than Lindsay, there was no corners left unchecked, and I'm really excited for this season. I come into 41, I leave the merge episode, like I'm obviously on the to be continued. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I was I was the Edgic's funeral director, and luckily the season has given me a different side of the coin where not everybody is purple. Not everyone is invisible. There's not that one star character that's taking up all the screen time. We're getting to see a lot of people's different perspectives and get a lot of people's input. So I'm really excited to see how this season plays out. I think the merge hopefully is a good omen for things to come. I think next episode is going to be really big. Something's going to get played. A blind side, some John Hennigan. I'm getting some John Hennigan vibes. I'm hoping. I sense it.
Wait, who's playing the role of John Hennigan in this situation?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. I just sense that.
Yeah. And I think that like a lot of us are in agreement too. Like we talked about this a little bit, like that they're really playing up a lot of the advantages they brushed under the radar for so long, and there's so many. But I think that this is going to be different than what we've seen in the past because I feel like there's still, like you mentioned before, people are going to probably go into an all-consuming mode because there's so much ego in that bigger group, you know. So I do wonder, like, I think that we're going to be seeing at least one advantage being played tomorrow, and I have no idea who it's going to be. I'm so excited.
Okay, so I guess before we continue on, do y'all think there are other advantages out there, or do you think that what we have now
I think
is what we have the rest of the game? Because I'm content with that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of advantages anyway. I'm content with the advantages that we already have, but do y'all think there will be more out there?
I think that, like, okay, so here's my thing, okay? I'm content with what we have. I would kind of rather prefer for it to be that way. But I think that we haven't seen that feature, like even just like the clip that they teased us with that Tori finds that advantage. Do you remember? And they led us to believe that Tori found the advantage on her tribe, or the hidden immunity idol rather. Like, I think that she's still going to find something. I don't know what it is, but I think that that's going to be. I really think. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
Yeah, I remember.
There's footage of her finding something, and I think because of that, I think that we're going to be able to see a little bit more of her strategy and her finding abilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm seriously hoping that, and that I guess that's a mess up on the prod team, showing us something that, and people, of course, in the internet age, everyone just kind of latches on to they haven't shown us that yet, so that person can't go home. This with the whole thing that got finally solved last week with Tori, but I do. I mean, I obviously they're probably still going to do the do or die one. I feel like this time the person that does do the do or die is going to get sent home, and it's going to be bullshit, and it might piss off a lot of people. It will piss me off, especially unless
really you don't like the do or die.
I hate the do or die.
Really? Am I? Oh my god! No, I love the do or die.
Why?
Okay. Well, I really like it because I think that it pushes people to take an even bigger risk, because it's not even just the reward of feeling safe, but it's also an even bigger risk of losing literally everything. So it's either gain all or lose all, essentially. So I think that it pushes people to make a lot more calculated decisions. It was really cool with Deshaun because it was very gripping. I thought that was going to be his chance to go home, but I liked it. I hope that it comes back on. I think am I the only person who feels this way?
Yes. Mainly because we're not getting voted out. It's not a vote out. It's a it's Suri and Game Changers-esque.
Don't ever compare that. Get her name out of your mouth.
Someone gets sent home without any type of vote doing it to, or an idol.
But they know. They know that risk before they jump on board and take that challenge. I think that's the big difference.
They didn't know it was a 2 and 3 chance, though. They didn't know it was. I guess I assumed it was just like a 50-50 thing. Like, they didn't tell them it was. There's 2 of these that say die. Only one of them says do. Yeah. It's not do or die or die. It's do or die.
Do or die.
If it happens again and the person's safe again, it's clearly fixed, right? No. I'm hoping that they don't bring that back. If they do, I hope they change it a little bit, much like how they changed the hourglass twist this season. So, Jacob, what were your thoughts on the changes that this merge challenge in general with the Applebee's and the caveats that they added to the hourglass?
That's home.
Did it made it better, or do you think it's pretty much same shit, different toilet?
I mean, they put Applebee's in there.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that they were missing. Like, they forget with them warning them that they could choose it. Forget them saying it's gonna change the game. They didn't entice them enough to want to win this challenge. They need Applebee's. It feels like home. Forget letters from home. Forget the family, loved ones visit. They need Applebee's.
They were wilding for some Applebee's.
Lydia was wilding for it. Did you see what she told Rob on Rob Has a Podcast?
Oh, I saw.
Iconic.
Creaming.
She can eat all the Applebee's she wants when she's on Ponderosa. The final.
As the last person at Ponderosa before the jury starts showing up. we're never gonna get a Lydia Chlamydia Ponderosa video
Damn.
because
That's my biggest complaint.
Omar just had to be good at the right time. But yeah, Jacob, what were your thoughts on the changes they made to the Hourglass twist? Do you think that it makes it better? Would you like to see the Hourglass twist happen again based off of the new rules that they had to?
You're rattling.
No, definitely not. I just feel like I still got that Danny like telling off Jeff and them showing that. I'm surprised that they put that on television, like him telling off. I never seen that before. Like them actively telling off, like you're telling us we're safe from this vote, and then magically without forewarning us that there's a risk that. Yeah, they did show that at the tribal. Yeah, at tribal, Danny was.
No, did they show that? Oh, yeah. You mean in 41
last season? Yeah, season.
Danny showed that again.
Oh no! Danny was busting Jeff's chops last season, and I'm like, I'm not bad. But yeah, no. Once that still resonates in my mind. Then that's the sentiment that I feel as though it's right here. Like, this isn't like an idle situation where it's just like this very abrupt, this sudden realization that the minority is in power. The holder of the idol will send you home, even though you didn't get a majority of the votes. That's a component of this game that's been around for years. That's something that people learn to evade. People have learned to split votes to try to avoid. But something like this, and also the do or die, but especially this, like there's no, I won't say there's no preventing this, because at the end of the day, they did give them the option for them to hold the power here. But
they did the best they could, considering what they introduced into the game, knowing they had to use it,
I just feel like maybe they could have, or Jeff could have like warned them, like, I don't know. I feel like you're not going to like it if you don't think that. I don't know, like sort of nudging them towards this. Like, even if it was blatant what he was doing, then I would much rather have that and them know, like, okay, so there is some consequences.
It might have been blatant what he was doing, because Drea clocked that shit very fast.
Brilliant.
We don't know if potentially it could be that we become, or the roles are reversed, and it's like, what? Like, what just happened here?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the people that I'm watching it with, and I'm like, okay, good on you, Drake. Winners at it.
Oh man, do you think that she's in a really good position right now? Like, absolutely. Considering, yeah,
she's a part of the majority alliance that is going to be very flip floppy for most of the merge. We can all say, she's got all these advantages, and she voted correctly for the first merge vote, which can't be said for I think 4 or 5 other people, and so. As long as she can stay, and as long as she can keep her crew together, as well as keep her advantages, because all of her advantages aren't known, just most of them. If she can keep
all of her advantages are known by at least one person.
Oh yeah, by at least one person. You're right. Because Aemlyn is known by the other 2 people. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
If she can just, because she's not even playing under the radar, she's playing very outwardly. Her whole tiff with Marianne at Tribal, like that is her like. Saying, yeah, I'm not trying to hide behind this. And that was also Marianne doing the same thing. Like, I appreciated the fact that they had that moment. It was funny.
You did?
It was funny.
No.
Do you
agree with me? No.
Agree to disagree. And I do think that, I feel like Drea, if she can play her cards right, I can say that for anyone, but if she can play her cards right, could really pull this thing out. Because I feel like she's in the best position right now. Omar might actually drop down a little bit as far as like best spot, because everyone's gonna know that he just saved these three people at the last tribal. And if anyone's trying to make a big move, the next big move would be get the person that just flipped this vote last time, or get him soon. Before he's able to do it again. Because if he was able to do that without a vote, what can he do with the vote? Or like an advantage at some point in the game.
Right. See, like, I don't know if I agree with you, because like I feel like I get what you're saying. Like I feel like the people who other people want to keep around are the people that are predictable. And not that Drea is not predictable because she is loyal and in the way that she works her votes, but her advantages can make her unpredictable. And the fact that at least one person, and for the most part, two people at a minimum, know about different ways that she could utilize advantages to make things unpredictable and disloyal. I think that, and especially so early in the merge, I feel like she's public enemy. She can be public enemy number one very, very quickly. But Jacob, what do you think?
It's actually very funny because I don't agree. I'm in the middle. I don't
Oh,
think
really?
she is the best. I think she's the least egregious in certain, like, of the eco. I don't think an eco person is winning this game. I would be heavily surprised if Romeo wins, or like, because I'm rooting for Romeo. I would love for Romeo to win.
Right.
I would not be surprised, I guess, in hindsight, that Drea wins, but I think she's the least egregious of the four in an editing standpoint and positioning wise. Obviously, she was the only one who voted in the majority here. I see reason for Tori or Rocktroy being polarizing to camp, and like Romeo saying, "I'm doing this to support and fight for strong women to win the game, and I'm coaching her how to be a good Survivor player." And but then
She
the next
already is.
episode was like,
He
"Oh,
added that part too. You're like a stronger Survivor player than she already is.
And then she said, like, but then him saying this week, like, "Oh, I want to be in power. I love being in control. I'm dangerous. I want to be the leader." But then him not getting his way here, like, I don't feel like that's. I don't think he'd show
It's
that he's a winner.
And the fact that she didn't include him in the majority vote, can we talk about that for a second? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why she didn't include him in that vote if he and her were so loyal enough that where he knows that she has an idol. So why do you think that she didn't include him in that majority vote against Lydia?
Jacob comment.
I'm thinking, wasn't okay because who did Romeo talk to about like the little people? Was it Lydia?
You mean the Skinny Guys Alliance?
Because I remember it was like, oh, the little people, they got to stick together, and I think.
Yeah, when they first merged together, I think it might have been Lydia that he was talking to.
I think it was either Lydia.
Oh.
Or
Yeah.
I think maybe like it was like that. Like Romeo was like, "I'm not doing this. I'm not voting this way." I mean, because he already had to fold with fold.
Right.
He folded for Zach, and I don't think
Right.
he wanted to fold for Lydia. And the last minute change, I don't think it was chalked up to like not wanting to inform him or excluding him from the group. Because I think he wasn't in the group.
No,
He wasn't.
No. High. It's amazing because High did vote the right way. Romeo did not.
So it's High, Mike, Omer, Jonathan.
I actually don't think that Mike voted the right way either.
No, Mike voted for Lydia.
Mike voted.
Okay.
Mike voted for Lydia. So these are the people who voted for Lydia. You ready?
Yeah.
Mike voted for Lydia. Hi, Jonathan, Lindsay, Marianne, and Drea. Roxroy voted for Lindsay. Romeo and Lydia voted for Marianne. Tori and Chanel voted for Jonathan. So I just I don't understand why I don't understand why Romeo wasn't included in that vote, because I feel based on the footage that we've seen and the bond that he has with everyone, why wouldn't, and like the bond he had with High, that beautiful talk, to me, I just felt like it was building up to him building something very solid with a lot of very intricate members of the tribe,
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the big questions going into tomorrow's episode is why did Romeo vote that? Like, why did Romeo vote against, unless he just wasn't let in on the plan? And in which case, why wasn't he let in on the plan?
Right.
The other big question, and we're gonna move to it for a second, is the rise of Roxroy, who for weeks I didn't lambaste him or anything. I just kind of said, yeah, Roxroy, and I said it in a very that type of way. Condescending, according to people that I talk to, say that I talk very condescending to people. I apologize.
You do not. You love Roxroy.
But I did sit here 2 weeks ago and say Roxroy's probably going to make it to the end, not to win, but just to make it to the end because everyone's going to leave him alone once the merge hits. And I feel like before we get to the actual vote, the fact that we got a lot of his backstory, the fact that we actually enjoyed watching him being by himself on Exile, the way that he was able to articulate after he broke the hourglass, the way that he interacted with Tori afterwards, my God, Can she please shut up? In a nice way, respectfully, and all that. I think that Roxroy all of a sudden, like, I don't feel as that Roxroy could sit at the end, because at the end of the episode he still votes differently than literally everybody else in the game. And it could either be two things. It could either be he just didn't know any of the plans, which I seriously doubt. There's enough people that talk that someone's going to let him in on one plan. It might be the wrong plan, but
True.
or he just threw his vote because he didn't want people telling him what to do, which I also feel like he would do, mainly because, and Jacob brought this up earlier, we start to see ourselves in these different people, and I think the reason that I've been saying all these things about Roxroy all season is because I've been projecting, and that I am actually Roxroy. Black guy glasses aside, there are deeper things, but I feel like Roxroy all of a sudden, I won't call him a power player or anything, but like his stock definitely rose a little bit in this episode.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, like, I think that, not that I was projecting, but I think that I underestimated him for a lot of this, because he's an old school player. He sticks with what he knows, and he knows that these people are going to be loyal, so he'll be loyal back. And he wants to focus more on sustaining the tribe and sustaining, building the shelter, getting the firewood, getting extra firewood because you never have enough, and like that, to me, even though it's very old school mannerisms, that's something that's really going to make him very reliable and valuable, especially with his existing tribe. And we saw that's why Tori literally carried him on her back, and like with this majority, not Tori, what did I say? Drea carried him on her back, and she was like, he is solid. He is with us. And that, like, now has become a part of this majority alliance, which I thought was incredible. He didn't even have to do anything. He didn't have to lift a finger. And he's now part of this alliance.
The majority alliance.
This is my theory. My theory is Roxroy is a solid dad. He's a moment. He's a mood. Much like my dad doesn't remember any of my friends' names, people that I've known for 20 years. He doesn't know any of their names. So my working theory is that he just messed up Lydia and Lindsay's name. And I think if I'm right, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket because I'm going to be so proud of myself.
If that happens, I don't even know what I could sit here and say.
I would be so proud.
It turns out that Roxroy literally just forgot Lydia's name. I'll do something. I don't know, but that is an actual hot take. That I would actually love to see happen. I would love for it to be that. Oh yeah, I just forgot her name. And I also forgot how the common way of spelling Lindsay is. I know that is a spelling of Lindsay. It's probably their sixth most popular way of spelling Lindsay, but what do I know? But I do think that Roxroy moved up a lot in this episode. He got a lot of content, especially in the first hour. But I think the real MVP, as Kevin Durant might say, was Omar for the episode. Period. I mean, and I know I already went on this rant earlier, but the fact that he was able to save all three of his peeps without a vote, and still, we'll see what happens tomorrow and see if he's still like going to be here instead of up here.
Yeah.
I think that shows a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I deliver a really hot take about this? Because this is a question that I had for both of you guys, and we talked about this a little bit before we started going live. Omar definitely showed value in this and made him big. I think that honestly, like, the MVP in my mind is Hai. And I think that because very typically whenever you see a duo or a known duo, people automatically, if you aren't the person to split it up yourself, then people will split it up for you before you have a chance, and that automatically leaves the remaining person a target. Hai actively chose, while he had the numbers, to abandon the other part of his unit because they knew that he could use her and they were not going to split up, and he chose to leave her. I don't know if it's too soon or not, but I think that considering right now there's so many moving parts, him leaving Lydia, which I'm devastated about, I think that was a brilliant move to make sure that he still sustained that power. What do you guys think?
For me, it's tentative. Like I go into,
Yeah.
I leave this episode like because like Magic and all that stuff, and I bumped High significantly down because he said the good players. I keep bringing up this folding thing. I don't know. The good players, the great players triumph or succeed or reign supreme or whatever. And he folded. He said, no, I cannot send Lydia home. That's my untouchable. That's my non-negotiable. That's my ride or die. I want to rocks for her. And now that makes me think that even if there was rationale behind this, like I need to rid of this my duo, rid of this person that's tangential to my game, that will forever, as long as she's in this game, will forever be attached to me and may incentivize people to target me moving forward. If this alliance implodes, it may put a target on my back. I just think it was dumb to just sort of prop this up like at all. As like she's my ride or die. Yeah, I almost went to rocks for her, because then if your pitch, I guess, like the thing is like I'm loyal to this group and I'll do whatever the hell this group tells us to do. It's like Sierra voting out like her mom. I guess a similar vein to that. Like I really like, but like you just vote off the person you said you almost went to rocks for it. But if I'm in that position, then I can't trust you to vote to keep me, because then. How am I supposed to know if we're close or not? You just voted off your close person.
Yeah.
If we get introspective, which I believe that we are, in this tomorrow's episode about High's rationale for this decision, like I folded, I feel like that's something that I feel like I put in more effort into that relationship strategically. I think that a couple people were expressing their concerns about Lydia, and I just said, look, let's just rid of that entirely. I want to be down with these people, and we get to see people like approving or validating like this was the right move for High. Then yes, I could see the merits for him being the MVP. But I'm also a bit curious to see Omar as well. I keep saying Omar. Apparently.
I go back and forth. I don't know for sure. That's my biggest mystery of the season.
I went on the meet, like you get to meet the contestants and Jeff does his cast assessments. He says Omar, so I'm saying Omar, but I'm still getting used to it because it's not spelled Omar. But regardless, I want to see just both their introspectives on this situation, because it seems very transparent what Omar was doing here. The last possible opportunity to escape out, which is great, And Tony brought this up, I think, in the deep dive with Sister Nina, where he was talking about like the last plan is always the one that usually is the one who seems to pull through the most, because that's the last people on people's minds. Not enough time to deliberate, to compare notes, to assess the situation, to see if we have the numbers to divert the attention to somebody else in that time. So Omar really exploited that. But my problem is like they brought up and they highlighted when Jonathan was like, this is a strong four. This is a very solid group. We took out the weak people and we just found our groove. And then Tori brought him up as Goliath. And they brought it up again this episode. This just makes me feel like eventually this is going to backfire and Omar's going to be like this person we need to take out because all of his friends are on the jury. I don't see longevity for... unfortunately, I would love, I would kill, right? To see Marianne succeed and flourish in life as all the weird people, like me and her, we're in the same alliance. We're on the Weird Kids Alliance. I want her to thrive. I just don't see her going far. And from there, I think Jonathan's going to be way too hard of a threat to pass up moving forward. I have no incentive to believe Lindsay's going to go far. We'll see. But I hope that answers your question.
I mean, no, I think that was smart, and I also think that like I'm not sure because I feel like maybe Marianne will make it further than what we think, or maybe at least the majority of the Taku 4 will make it further than what we're giving them credit for. Specifically because Jonathan was trying to throw them off the trail early, like the core. Like the majority, like being like, oh, well, if we don't want to let anyone go, but like if we did, it would be Marianne. Like even just saying that they were willing to give up someone instead of being like, no, us 4 or nothing, So maybe that's going to be something that gives people, like diverts them away from the focus that they are very strong together as a unit.
Yeah, and the fact that there must be some trust there, because if there wasn't, Marianne has an idol. She knew she was probably going to get some votes. And still didn't play it, which means that she trusts this, and we'll see how far that trust goes. But the fact that she went into the merged tribal, eligible to get voted out with an idol, and knows that your name's on the table, and don't play an idol, and still not play an idol, that shows that she has some type of gauge of what's going on in the game, and she also trusts her allies. And so I do think that she's a lot more savvy than the jabronis on Reddit give her credit for. They just
True.
see her as this goofy, happy-go-lucky person, but like there is a lot there, and I think that whether they care about it or not, everyone knows how I feel about the Redditors. I do think that she has a chance to make some noise before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I don't
Have you
see her
seen
or anything, but like, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the preview for the next episode yet, or no?
Yeah.
So like there's one piece they did a little bit of a feature for her too, like in the commercial where she like is she said something along the lines of like, look at me using emotions as a weapon. Yeah, like that sort of line. And I think that like that to your point, Andrew, like I think that like that's something where she's a very smart and socially aware player that because she is so like she's always a 12 as someone who's also always a 12 I can relate, but like people don't see anything higher than just your energy and your excitement. They don't know how socially aware you are about your entire situation. So I'm very, very, very excited to watch, like hopefully it's going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes, this beautiful queen. I'm so excited.
Maybe I'm projecting.
Yeah.
I just there's tangents and then there's Mariangents, and I just went on the Mariangent about the whole Omar High thing. You asked me about High, like the MVP. You brought the hot take. What are your thoughts on it, Jacob? And I talked about Omar. I was like,
No.
maybe I'm projecting. Maybe
I prefer that type of shooting the shit type environment instead of like. I mean, we can keep it very. But I don't mind going off on tangents as long as it's constructive.
Yeah.
But as we start to wrap up, where would you guys put this merge episode? Also, like, is this merge episode in your top 10? Is basically what I'm asking.
Oh my god, yeah. To me, I would say like I would even venture to say top 5. I think that this is a really, really good one because they gave it that 2 hours and they used 2 hours like smartly.
Correctly. They used it correctly.
Yeah, is smartly a word? It is, right?
Is what a word?
Smartly. Yeah, no, smartly. I was like, they used it smart. I think it is. I want to Google it.
Take it.
I'd be remiss if it wasn't. I'm looking back and I'm thinking like the only one that was because I'm looking back.
Cagayan for me is like will probably always be the number one as far as merge episodes. Just because it was amazing.
Yeah. It was brilliant.
I felt like now I'm kind of because I'm backtracking. I'm like 40 better than 41, better than 40s, better than 39s, better than 38s, better than 37, and like 37. Like David versus Goliath obviously had that positive.
That was a good one.
Well,
that was a good one.
But it ended with like a unanimous.
It ended with Elizabeth is going home unanimously. Yeah.
How did Lydia come from? Like, if you count like the merge vote of 41, either as Sydney's vote or you attach those two episodes together, which they should have been like they did this time, or you count it as Tiffany's, still doesn't matter. And
41's was pretty good. Like 41's was, that was probably one of my favorite episodes of 41. Of like 5 episodes in that season that I like loved. The merge episode was very good, in my opinion.
But yeah, I think this is a really good merge. I
for sure
did not see Lydia going because we just got the story. I mean, like
I watch it, like I do a watch party with one of my very dear best friends. Hey Hopi, if you ever see this, love you. We were watching it and like I was panicking because everyone knows how much I love Lydia. Like I've been obsessed with her from the start. And she likes some of my tweets sometimes. It's a whole thing. I was panicking because like I think it was Omar just threw her name around once, and I looked at Hopi in a panic, and she was like, "No, like she's safe. Like I'm sure of it. She's safe." And every vote, I was like, "No." It was just terrible. But they did it so well because I think that especially as a viewer, it's cool that we're also kind of left in the dark in a way, because I need to know, like, it puts me in the shoes of a lot of the people who are also in the tribe because I want to go to High and be like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? So I'm excited to kind of see how the cards fall at the end of this, or like starting next week or Wednesday, tomorrow.
But thank you, Jacob, so much for coming back. It's been a long while. Since we've had you, we'll have to have you again at some point soon, probably during the 42 and 42 that we're doing that I'm doing, that Emily hopefully will join me for. I don't know. Over the
What are we doing?
we'll talk. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you all for tuning in, whether it was live, whether you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple or YouTube later.
We're everywhere.
I didn't even know about Spotify. Damn,
Yeah, follow us.
Get on.
Be back soon, hopefully, with our recap. Not recap. Our takes on the first Juror episode, 42, which is going to be a doozy. But thank you all again for tuning in, and we will see y'all on the other side.